I'll get some her chocolates a little bit.
No, I threw like about every like 3 times. I'm gonna pick that. That's usually terrible. Oh. I don't want to have the sugar.
Yeah.
How much is that thing?
How much is what? Oh, that one is priceless. Priceless, I'm telling you.
Anybody seen Astros have one?
All stop.
No, I'm
He can't find his desk,
Yeah, man. I was a cop. I was on channel.
I didn't take it.
He said
I don't advertise anything other than orange. We'll advertise the orange. Other than that, don't do it. We have our sign-in sheets.
Going around.
Good deal. It's Friday. That's a good thing, huh?
Last weekend, Your Honor.
Last week here?
Yes, sir. Last weekend.
Last weekend?
Yes, sir.
Where you leaving?
Monday.
Monday? You got it all lined out? You ready to go? Hot diggity.
Not all.
Well, look, I've been working at this a long time. I found out that I don't have it all lined out.
I have the least to say.
There's only one big thing you have to do. Stay sober. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
The only big thing that you have to do is stay sober. That's it. Oh. Stay sober, we'll be all right. Doesn't make any difference whether you have any money, a place to stay, any food, any of that. Just stay sober.
Being homeless is high risk.
Well, being homeless is not good. Been there, done that. Did not want the t-shirt.
I'm sorry.
I said, I've been there, done that, and didn't want the t-shirt. No. Keep it.
Yeah.
All right, gentlemen, we got about 30 seconds, so that means we need to get the groove. Get ourselves signed in, and make sure you got your book. All right, folks, it's 9 o'clock or really close to it, so it's time to get started. Remember over at North to put your sign-in sheets together. Thank you for yesterday. They were in my box right where they're supposed to be, and they were well done, and I appreciate that. Over here, we got them all done as well, and they look good. I could read everybody's name, and I appreciate that. We have one person on one side or the other, don't remember where it is, that prints their name. And I appreciate that because their signature is such that I can't decipher it. So let's do that. So also, everyone should have a book. Are you brand new?
Yeah, I just got here last time. I haven't got it.
Do you know who your counselor might be?
No.
Okay. Say it again. At midnight.
Yeah.
And yet you're in group this morning. I appreciate that. We will get you a book. Going forward, when you come to group, always bring your book with you. So we need to have our book with us because that keeps us connected to the program and all of that stuff. If you're brand new, you don't begin in the book where I'm going to take you today. You begin in the very first of the book because the book is designed to progress upon itself. Start over here and you end over here. You don't start here, jump to there, and go back. But what we do is jump. So we'll be jumping someplace. But when you jump to this place, you're there with me. But when you're by yourself, you go back to wherever you are on your own. So here's the deal. We've been talking this week about what?
The disease
What was that?
the physical disease.
Physical health. Physical health, yes. And the disease, we talked about the disease of alcoholism and addiction yesterday as it pertained to physical health. We're going to do we're going to just get out of it just a little bit today. I had a plan, but my plan changed at the last moment. That's okay. So we're going to be talking today a little bit about coping skills and how that plays into the physical part of our recovery. Coming to group, are ya? Yeah, okay, get your book. How do our coping skills fit into physical health? Right? So we're going to be talking about that a lot. One of the things that we should be using as a coping skill is physical health. And decided not to say. Okay. All right. So for Friday, the last place on this, we've been talking all week about getting to a place where we're doing something physical, just getting up and going and do something. I told y'all yesterday that I go to the gym 3 times a week. I went this morning, and it was interesting. I go to an old people's gym where there's just a lot of old people, you know, and they do a lot of low-level stuff. Don't really get hot, but don't really get hard into a lot of stuff. But we've got a couple of young people who have decided to come now, and where everybody else on the machines were going very slowly, easing along. They were taking off like 100 miles an hour and all of that stuff, and that's okay if that's what you're capable of, right? So the last one, once we've gone through all of that stuff and we've got it done, we decided we're going to do something and we're going to take action, then we get to the maintenance stage of it. When we get to this place, and I'll tell you, this is a hard place to get to, which says, look, you're pleased with your physical health. That's a pretty tough place to get to. I'm okay with the place that I'm at. I'm pleased with it. I'm all right. Look, I'm going to tell you this, that I'm 72, and over the last bunch of years, I have been always wanting to get a little bit better than where I am right now. And as you get a little bit older, things begin to wear out a little bit. Things begin to get a little bit not what you would have them be. So you have to work a little bit harder at it to keep them where you would have them be. So it says at this place of maintenance, you're pleased with your physical health and the ongoing efforts being made to maintain your physical health. Look, here, why is it so important for us in recovery to maintain our physical health?
So we won't relapse.
It helps us to keep from relapsing. That's a big deal. Because I tell you, is relapse pretty prevalent? Yeah, we do that with alarming regularity. So here's the deal. We're in here to learn how not to relapse. That's the big deal. We're going to teach you 900 different things. And you need to take those 900 different things and help them, put them in your life to help you round out your life so that you have a well-rounded life and you're doing things that's good for you, good for your family, and good for society for the rest of your life. But the main thing is relapse prevention. And if you're reading something else other than what you're supposed to be reading this morning, put it up. We're in group. It's a group. It's what we came here for. So, what's the goal of our group?
To not relapse.
To not relapse. That's my goal. That's your goal. Today, though, the goal of our group, we have a goal every day, and the goal of our group today is to learn more about proper coping skills. Because what did we use as coping skills when we were out there in our addiction? Alcohol, drugs, all that kind of mess. So we need to not be doing that, right? We need to get to a place where if we can come up with some better coping skills, that's going to help us get to a place where we can avoid the big thing. And what's the big thing? Relapse. That's why we're in here. Do people relapse while they're in treatment?
Yes.
All the stinking time. What does that tell us?
And you need more work.
They need to do a little bit more work. Maybe they're not serious about this. You know, we need to get to a place, look, I'm serious about staying in my recovery, right? I'm serious. I'm serious about staying in my recovery. So here's the deal. If I'm going to relapse, then I'm not in my recovery. And if I'm going to relapse while I'm in here, then I'm not preparing for my recovery. What? Is that acceptable at all?
Makes sense.
Absolutely not. Relapse, look, relapse is sometimes going to happen. It is a part of recovery. It is not acceptable. It's not acceptable. Why is it not acceptable? We've talked about it a couple of times, but why is it not acceptable?
Relapsing while you're in recovery?
Relapsing at all.
Well, if you're in here, you trick other people.
Yeah, it screws everybody up.
Yeah.
Yeah, it screws everybody up. Yeah, you know, so that's just not acceptable and not going to be put up with. If you relapse, there are consequences. They will be enforced. There are consequences. You don't go out and relapse, just come back in and say, hey, look. No, there are consequences. The other thing is it tells everybody else, look, I can go do that and come back in, and that's not true. That's not true. You can't do that. The big deal about not wanting to relapse is that 50% of the people, and I've told y'all this 3,500 times, so just somebody write it down, get a hold of it, and just believe it. 50% of the people that go out there don't come back. 50% of the 50%, which is what? 25%. They die in their addiction. They have a car wreck. They overdose. They get cirrhosis of the liver. The other 50% or the other 25%, they stay out there and stay in their addiction for the rest of their life. So you've ruined their life. They've ruined their life. It's not your fault if somebody else relapses. But if you're a role model and show them how to do it, you're helping in that. So cut that out, right? So so our goal is to learn about better coping skills and all of that. So what's this guy doing? Now, somebody already told me this morning that this was the best painting they've ever seen. So what's this guy doing?
He's fighting the urges.
He's fighting the urges. Look, you see how
he's battling between the Bible and the drug.
Yeah, you see how he's got his hands folded and all of that kind of stuff.
He's coping.
What does it mean though when somebody has their hands folded?
They're guarded.
They're what? They're guarded. They're not open to what they're being told.
His stomach hurts.
They're not listening well. So this guy here didn't listen too well. Now he's out there in the midst of what's going on with him. Something stressful. Something happened. Does stuff happen?
Yeah.
Stress comes into our life, right? So we do have stress that's happening in our life. So this guy here has a whole bunch of coping skills. He's looking at his coping skills. These are coping skills that he built in treatment. These are coping skills that he's built in life. And now that some stress has fallen upon him, maybe he lost his job, maybe he lost his romantic person, maybe he's lost his children, maybe something that's happened that's dastardly. And I saw when I was working out, we have 3 big TVs up there that we watch in the morning, and I was watching that. There's a 18-year-old boy in where was it? Houston? Maybe it's Houston. Yeah. Who's now going around beating up old folks. Y'all see that? He put that old man in the hospital. Yeah. So yeah, I don't have a whole lot of respect for that young man, but I'm also not going to stand around and let him whoop on me. He's going to fool around and find the wrong old folk. He will. Remember when they used to have about 10 years ago, I guess, they had that punching game going on. Those kids would run around and punch older people.
Yeah, but yeah, you go into the bank late at night.
No, I don't think you should either, but you should be safe enough to do that. We ought to be able to do that if we wanted to.
Yeah.
But there was an elderly lady, she was 66, something like that. Yeah, and there's about 5 of those kids, and they ran up, and one of them punched her and knocked her down, and when she went down, she pulled her weapon and she killed that guy, and she shot two others as they were running away. Well, look, you run into the wrong old guy, the wrong old lady. So that's not a good plan. They had, and tragedy happens, and a lot of that is because we don't have the right coping skills. You get some stress going on. There's a kid that was going from door to door to door last week, ringing the doorbell and running. Y'all ever done that?
Yeah,
I've done that. I did that in Germany.
Yeah, he does. He shot him in the back.
Yeah, they shot him, killed him dead, and he's 11 years old. Here's the deal. That's tragic. And I know there's a ton of people out there say, well, he shouldn't have been going, and he shouldn't have been.
Yeah.
He shouldn't have been. But I'm not going to kill a kid for ringing my doorbell.
Running away.
Yeah, he's running away.
I don't care if he's running away or if he's standing in my face. I ain't gonna kill a kid for ringing my doorbell. My doorbell. But here's the deal. What happened? Poor coping skill. I can't cope with it, so I'm gonna kill you. All right? I can't cope with it, so I'm gonna do this or I'm gonna do that. We need to have built inside of us some coping skills, and here's the deal. We teach coping skills all the time. What's problematic about the coping skills that we have, and we all have coping skills, we don't use the good ones. We wind up using the bad ones. See, this guy's got a lot of coping skills. Now, back in the day, when he was out using, he had what kind of coping skill? Yeah, this is alcohol. So he's got that kind of coping skill. That's a great coping skill. Any kind of stress, any kind of mess, any kind of things in my life, just a little bit of vodka, everything's all right. I'm okay. I'm 6'3". I got blonde hair, wavy blonde hair, beautiful blue eyes. And men fear me and women desire me. Everything's great. But after a while, when it wore off, what happened? There's a song that says reality sets in, called Alone Again. Suddenly reality sets in, and here I am, alone again, naturally. So I wake up in the morning and I feel like poo-poo caca stuffy stepping. And suddenly I'm back to my old self. I'm not 6 foot something, okay. But he got that, and we got some stuff that we can smoke. He's looking over there at the marijuana. He's looking at whatever crack cocaine. He's looking at whatever else we've got over there that we can smoke. He's also looking at money. Money, a good coping skill.
The thing speaking out.
Yeah, there's a guy over there peeking out from the corner. He's the one who wants that money, huh? Yeah. So if I got the money, I can cope with a lot of the stressful stuff. I can pay this guy and pay that guy. How am I going to get that money? I don't have a job. How am I going to get that money?
Steal.
Well, this guy he's going to help. That guy's going to help. I heard something this morning that was on the radio when I was coming in listening to the news that was deeply disturbing to me. They were talking to some people who were supposed to be, movie stars and all of this kind of crazy mess about the stuff that they had stolen. And they're making it's such a wonderful thing. Yeah, I stole this and I stole that well, that's not a good thing. I have stolen some stuff in my life, but I didn't go around and tell everybody. And everybody wasn't saying, well, that's a great thing you did there. I didn't do that. But that was some of their coping skills. So going back to my dealer, having some money to go back to my dealer, let him give me a few little something so I can go and spread that to other people and maybe get a little bit of money from that. There's some other people that really get excited about poking something in their skin. Y'all know what skin popping is, right?
Yeah.
A lot of people do skin popping, and then some other people do intravenous stuff, and neither one of those are good for anybody. Skin popping is where you take the needle, just put it under your skin.
Yeah.
It'll stay around there a little while, and then it'll sink into your body. Your body will absorb it, and it'll get into your bloodstream, and you get stupid. If you shoot it straight into your veins, it doesn't take as long, but it's also much more dangerous. Either one of those is goofy. Now, these are all coping skills. But are they good coping skills? No, these coping skills lead to the need for other coping skills. These coping skills are going to get you right back at the place where you were before. You're going to be lying, cheating, stealing, doing all of that kind of stuff again. Here's the big deal. We have other coping skills. And a lot of the people in treatment facilities profess to have those coping skills, right? Here's the Holy Bible. The only place I have found more deep, sincere Christians than in treatment facilities is in prison. Everybody out there is a deep, either a Christian or a Muslim. And just, love God, love some God. They're just, But as soon as they leave prison, they throw the Quran away and they throw the Bible away. And I've told you all this, but we had two big old drums with the top cut out of them up at the holiday unit. And we'd go about once a week, we'd go empty them out. One was always full of Bibles and one was always full of Qurans. They had signs there. Bible's here, Quran's here. And so the religion stopped when they walked out the front door. And whatever it was. Because if you're a professing Christian, if you're a professing Muslim in the United States, the Texas penal system, there's special days that you get off work, things like that. So suddenly, I can get these 12 days off here, so okay. And by off, that means they don't have to go to group. They don't have to go out in the field and do work. They don't have to do any of that. So they just sit down, they get special food, all of that kind of stuff. So that's there. So sometimes, we really, I have met a few people in treatment and tell me, no, I don't have anything to do with that. I don't want to do anything. But 99% of the people that I meet in treatment are professing Christian. 99%. I love the Lord. I love the Lord Jesus Christ. He's my Savior, man. I just praise His wondrous and holy. But we don't pray when when that relapse issue comes up. We don't say, wait a minute, let me pray about that. God, will you help me with this situation? If you ask Him, He will. We don't go there. We don't go there. And so the other thing is, a good pet. Anybody here have a pet? My wife has a husky. Y'all know what a husky is? Mm-hmm. Those things are horrible. Yeah. They're beautiful dogs. Yeah, they're beautiful dogs. Hyper. They are stupid hyper, and they shed. Yeah. You could fill up this room with the hair he has shed in the time that she's had it. Yeah, they shed. We have one of those little goofy. It's called a goofy. It's GU something, but it's a goofy. It's a vacuum cleaner. It's an automatic vacuum cleaner. It goes off at 8 o'clock at night. About 10, it's finished, and I have to dump that thing every day. And there's that much hair in that thing every day. Nothing but hair. That's it. Once a week, I dump the hair out of there, and then I turn it over, and where the little rollers are, I have to clean all of the little places in there because the hair has stopped it up. There's all of that. So and they're real finicky things. He only eats about every third day. He don't want to eat today. But he'll come and they howl and they do all of that. Ours doesn't do a lot of howling, but he talks to you. Do that. Snap at you. And when it's time to eat, about 4:30, he's up there snapping at my wife. I don't feed him. And she'll go in there and she cooks for him special foods and all of this stuff, puts it in his bowl, and he'll walk, smell it. Don't want that. So he'll do that sometimes 2 or 3 days, and it's because they were bred to pull the sleds up in Alaska and Canada and all of those kind of places, and sometimes they don't get to eat for 2 or 3 days, so they have evolved to be okay with that. But it's a good thing to have a pet because you can talk to a pet, and they will respond to you all the time in love. Right? I've seen people who are murderers. Their dog loves them. It don't make any difference. So good to have that. What is this? That's a bed. You can tell it's a bed because right on the top of it, it says what? Bed. So that's a bed. What does that represent? Just getting enough rest. When that's a good coping skill. Sometimes I need some self-time. Sometimes I need some downtime. Sometimes I need some time to myself. Sometimes I need to do something I really, really enjoy doing. Like that doesn't include working. Doesn't include being with other people. I can just be down sometimes, and I thoroughly enjoy having a good nap. I don't do that during the day, but I go to bed about 8 o'clock at night, and I thoroughly enjoy going to bed about that early. Because I get up at 4 in the morning. I get up in the 4 in the morning and make me some coffee and everything, and then I go out and look at what God did that night. And it's just beautiful to look at the stars and all of that stuff. Most people, when I go work out and I'm coming back, the sun's coming up. And when the sun starts coming up behind the clouds and stuff, it's just awesome. It is awesome. Looks like God has set the sky on fire. It's magnificent. I see it nearly every morning. And there's people who've never seen it. There's people who've never seen. My wife never sees that. She sleeps at 7 or 8, sometimes 9 o'clock. She never sees that. She don't know it's morning. What is it?
Working out.
Yeah, that's a barbell. Let me tell you that exercise, and that's what we're talking about this week. Exercise is one of the best ways to stave off relapse. If you start getting you start having cravings, you'll start having all of these deep desires and all of that kind of mess. If you'll just go work out, it will take it away from you. We've talked about that all week long, and I'm not going to guarantee because I don't make guarantees, but somebody in this group tell me why exercise staves off relapse. Dopamine.
Yeah.
The man said dopamine.
Yeah, I can't remember.
It releases the endorphins.
Yeah.
When you exercise, you get your blood rate up, your heart rate up, and you let your heart rate go back down. Then you put your heart rate back up. I did that several times this morning. I'm in fairly good shape, and when my heart rate goes up, it'll stay up there for just a minute maybe, and then it's back down to normal. So I can get it up 2 or 3 times during one workout. But what it does when your heart rate goes up like that, it causes your brain to release endorphins into your bloodstream. And what that does is give you that your endorphins is your body's own natural opioids. It's the only opioid that it's okay for you to use. So you go out and you work out, and it's going to make that happen. It's going to get you a little bit high, and it's going to calm you down and ease things out. And if you're starting to crave a drug or something like that, and you go work out, that's going to happen for you, and you won't be craving it. And you probably, now it's not always the truth because there's always that outlier, but you probably won't relapse if you do something like that, right? So what's this guy got going on here? He's got coping skills. We all have coping skills. So what's he doing?
He's battling between choosing which.
He's battling between the two of them. That's one way to say it. Absolutely. He is at a place of making a choice. He has to make a choice, right? So he has to make a choice, right? So when that comes up, we'll have to take a break.
Yes.
So he has to make a choice at that point in time, right? He has to make a choice. So his choices are pretty stark. That means there's no ambiguity. That means there's no misunderstanding. He either has to go back to doing what he used to do as a coping skill, his drugs, his bad behavior. And let me tell you, I've told y'all this 4 or 5 times already, but there's always a good excuse for bad behavior. I felt so bad. Right? I had a guy tell me one time that he had like 13 DWI. A whole bunch of them. He was not in prison. He was a pretty wealthy guy, and he told me the reason he wasn't in prison is that he had those DWIs in several different states, and he had a really good lawyer. But I said, man, why you get... He said, well, every year on the 13th of March, I get drunk, and then I go for a drive, and they always seem to catch me. I said, well, why are you doing something stupid like that? That's the anniversary of my wife. Yeah. That's the anniversary of your wife's death. She died right there in my arms, man. 20 years ago, she just died right there in my arms. I said, well, that's a really good excuse for bad behavior, right? What a really wonderful way to honor the memory of your wife. Let's get drunk, go get a DWI, right? Okay, okay, that's some messy stuff. So he's trying to doing the same. There's always a good excuse. I have never had any client. I've been in this for quite a while. And I've never had any client that I've had relapse who did not have an very good excuse. A very good excuse. So, man, why did you relapse? What happened? This what happened. This what happened. Okay, always a good excuse for bad behavior, right? I've had people want to jump in my face and scream and yell at me and all. That's bad behavior. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't think you can do that. Don't do that. I don't put up with it. But and when I get those people back up off the floor and take them into my office and stuff and start talking to them, they'll tell me, well, you said this. There's always a good excuse for bad behavior. There's always also a good excuse for good behavior, right? Why am I going to do this? Why am I going to go make the right choice?
I just want to say I'm not trying to contradict you.
Okay, well, thank you. I appreciate that. He said he wasn't going to contradict me.
I'm not trying to.
But
I wouldn't say it's a good excuse for good behavior. I would say it's a good reason.
Okay, well, that's it. Yeah, and he said he wouldn't say a good excuse for good behavior. He would say it's a good reason for good behavior, right? But here's the deal. We always are working toward coming up for good excuses for bad behavior. And that's why it's written in the textbook, good excuse for bad behavior, but we also have good excuses for good behavior. There's always a good reason for bad behavior, right? There's always a good reason for good behavior. Either way you say it, it works, right?
I would feel like good reason for good behavior. Because I've been there, done it, and
Yeah, absolutely.
There's a resolution on how to resolve
exactly.
bad behavior.
Exactly. I should. You're right. He said I should know what's going to happen. I know where I came from, and I'm in here because of where I came from, and I'm not really wanting to go back to where I came from. I want to be able to get away from that. You know, the whole purpose for me being here is not to be back under the control, under the command of some drug that's trying to kill me. So that's why I should be trying to do the right thing. Because here's the deal. If I don't choose this side and I go to the other side, I'm hurting myself, my family, my children, society, everybody else.
You could be putting your job in jeopardy. Well, you is putting your job in jeopardy because they do a random drug test.
Of course.
You out of there.
Of course. I can imagine if I went in and told my boss in here, I said, look, I've relapsed and I need to go into treatment. I'm going to be gone 3 months. Will you hold my job for me? You think he would? Well, he loves me. He just thinks I'm the cat's meow. He might not do that, though. He may not do, because he needs somebody to do this. He needs somebody to do some counseling. He needs somebody to keep Miss Kim in line. He needs somebody to do those things.
You have just become a liability.
Yeah. So we've just become a liability. But there's some things. Look, here's some good coping skills we're going to go through real quickly. And look, we're not going to teach anything today that you haven't learned already. We're going to have to take a break. So what we're going to do right now, we have an emergency situation that's going on for us right now here. So what we're going to do is take an early break. We'll take, I don't know how long it's going to take for them to get all of that lined out. You're going to get this fella or...
But you guys, if y'all want to wait outside while they do this, that's fine. Or you can go back to your rooms, but you have to to figure out, okay?
So we're gonna look.
Yeah, you can go back to your room.
We're going to look at this taking about 10 minutes. So at 10 minutes, I will let you guys know over there what we're doing. So don't go too many fars away.
Yeah, because they're coming in.
Yeah, we're not allowed to be in.
They got plenty of room this way.
We have to vacate and be in here for this. Thank you.
I don't know.
It shouldn't take all that long. Good morning.
Gotcha. What's this place called?
What's this called now? Well,
It's the Adams House.
it's like we moved from here. That was having a home over here, so a lot of people I know they're finding I know like we have Yep.
You gonna be your client?
So you guys not citation.
We're gonna need a note.
So it took you something.
We came here.
You know, how you feeling? Have you thrown up? Yeah. After eating and drinking water, let it throw up.
What's the matter?
That don't make no sense.
Oh, I know. But I was there a long time.
Oh. Roxanne, we're gonna do, she knows all about that. She don't look it. No, we don't, none of us look like what we've been through, thank Jesus. I can come up stuff on my phone, so I remember. Oh, I got mine.
They've done that.
Can we get you guys?
Yeah, they're out already.
Hey, am I writing this? I guess I'm writing this.
Say it again. How does it take hold of it?
That long one? Press me out. Okay, so right. Yeah, okay. It doesn't, I can do it. No, yes. Thank you. Yes, you're perfect. I don't mind doing it. You're amazing. And then I've been with you this morning too. Okay. So yeah, you know. I know.
Bailed out before I put sugar.
All right, that's 10 minutes, and I'm sure that you guys are back in your place at North, and we're getting there. I want to explain the situation. Apologize for having to take an unscheduled break. That doesn't mean that we won't get our break when it's scheduled. So we'll be taking our normally scheduled break. But we had an emergency situation, and our group room is in such a situation here at South that when EMS comes, they have to go right through our group room, and so we have to vacate it. Can't be inside and can't witness any of that. So we had to go out to the back and stuff like that while they were doing what they needed to do. So that's what happened, and so it's all taken care of, and we're back. We're back in business. Yes, sir. Absolutely, absolutely. So we're going to go over a deal on coping skills real quickly. And as I was saying before we got a little bit interrupted, is I'm not telling you anything today that you haven't heard before. But one of the things that I think that we need to do is, I know and I see there's people in this group that pay very good, close attention, and I appreciate that. I know the folks at North do that very well. When I'm over there, I see a whole lot of engagement where we're taking notes and we're thinking about things. Usually, if I ask what was taught on, no one seems to know that. So I want us to get to a place where we're paying no. There's no excuse for all of that stuff. Don't do that. So we are. We're going to go over these things. I want you to pay attention, get a hold of it. Now here, let me share this with you. If you have issues taking notes and stuff like that, that's fine. I do understand that. I don't take good notes. I was in college for half of my life, I didn't take notes as well as I should, and I saw people sitting around me with laptops and stuff like that, and I didn't even know how to use them. So I'm trying to do it in a notebook, and it was a little bit harder to do. So here's the deal. These are some of the coping skills. These coping skills are meant to do one thing. What's that? Keep us from relapsing. The whole big deal, there's two things. The first thing is this. We don't want to relapse while we're in here. We want to figure out how it is that I can keep from relapsing while I'm in treatment. And then my second thing is I need to not relapse once I get out of treatment. Treatment is about helping us learn and figuring out how not to relapse when I get out of here. All right? You have a discharge summary, and on that discharge summary, going forward, you're going to see 3, maybe 4 things on that discharge summary, and you're going to take that discharge summary home with you. Now here, I don't make many guarantees, but here's a guarantee for you. If you follow everything on that discharge summary, you're going to have a fair chance of not relapsing. A fair chance. I didn't say you're going to have a guaranteed chance because that's a hard place to be out there. So you have a fair chance. I will guarantee you this as you walk out the door, and we're all adults here. You can crumple that thing up and throw it away when you walk out the door. I have actually seen people do that. And if you don't follow any of those suggestions, if you don't follow any of those things that's on your discharge plan, you are going to relapse. Is that true in all cases?
No.
Not necessarily. There's always that outlier. There's somebody that's going to come in here, not going to pay any attention at all, going to poo-poo everything I say. You're going to get in their buggy and go home to the same old people, do the same old things in the same old places, and they're not going to do anything that's on their discharge plan, and they're going to be fine. That's an outlier, though. That's like the people who win the lottery. Somebody going to win the lottery. Ain't going to be you. I can say that with pretty good authority. It's not going to be you. And if you go against everything that your discharge summary says, you're probably not going to be that one person. Right? Probably not going to be that. So we need to go in the other direction and imagine to ourselves, now we're not that one. What we do is we convince ourselves, I'm that outlier. I'm the one. I'm different. I'm gonna win the lottery. I'm gonna go just buy one ticket and I'm gonna win the lottery. I'm gonna be a billionaire. That stuff's like $1.7 billion right now. And so we convince ourselves that we're gonna do it, and then we go buy the ticket, and guess what happens?
You lose.
We don't match one number on the whole stinking thing. I've seen people over there buying $100 worth of tickets. I'm thinking, okay. And then you see the next morning, you go, there's a big billboard that has it on it. And when I come down Highway 10, I look up there and it's up another $300 or $400 million. So that old boy that spent $100 on it, he just lost $100. And okay, but here's some good coping skills. Now, and y'all know this, and just bear with me because I want you to get this. Here's the thing. I take this seriously. And if you leave this place like this young man is leaving on Monday, how many people think he's ready to go? Ain't nobody saying nothing. Look at that.
I really can't speak on it because I'm a video.
Yeah. I don't know. So how can we tell if he's ready to go?
I don't think he really. Based on his attitude, his demeanor,
Congratulations.
I'm going to tell you this, that 90% of the time, the only one that can speak to that is yourself. We know whether or not we're going to do it. We know whether or not we're going to put the time in. We know whether or not we're going to try to use different coping skills. We know that when we get out of here, and still sometimes it gets us, right? Still. sometimes we get bamboozled by whatever our drug of choice is. But here's some of the things that we can do. Get some social support. Now that's really an easy one to think about. Look, get some social support. We we looked at Maslow's hierarchies of need, and what did it tell us? We need love and belonging. So let me tell you something. When we get out of here, we're going to have some love and belonging. We're going to be with some people because people need people. Here's the deal. A lot of those people are going to be this guy. Because this guy wants to show you some love really badly. He wants to come up and tell you, hey man, I got a little something for you. You know, I know you're hurting. I got a little something for you. You don't have to worry about paying me now. Don't worry about that. I am your friend. Right? He's a lying piece of sawed-off sassafras and seaweed-eating slime. Right? He ain't worth nothing. So, few things are as powerful as having a supportive person in your corner. Few things. Just knowing that friends, family, or even a fellow group member or sponsor are pulling for you can make a world of difference. Make a big difference. So that means, look, how many people in here are guaranteed that they're going to go to a self-help group when they get out of here? 2 people? 3? Okay. You don't have to go to a self-help group, do you?
It's mandatory.
Is it mandatory for you? Okay. Somebody making you do the right thing.
And I need it.
Yeah, you do need it. You need it. Of everybody in here, you especially need it. But look, everybody in here needs it, but not everybody in here raised their hand. Less than half of the people. So what does that say? What does that say? Really, think about that. If I'm not going to an AA or an NA or one of those other A groups, Celebrate Recovery or something like that, what does that say?
They're confident enough.
They don't need it.
Oh, you're confident enough that you don't need it.
They're confident.
Oh, they're confident enough that they don't need it.
They lie to themselves.
They're lying to themselves. All of that is true. What I see in a situation like that is I'm not invested in my own recovery enough to do what's needed to make sure I stay in my recovery. If I'm not even going to go to group, if I'm not even going to go get a sponsor, I'm not invested, I'm not ready, I'm going to...
Their investment is at home already.
Their investment is at home.
The way of life.
Their way of life. You're right about that. A lot of people come through here, get sober for 2 or 3 weeks, go right back into the same thing.
Right.
Mama's over there with the crack pipe already lit for them. Man, yeah, some people do that. They have no intention whatsoever of getting into recovery. That's never entered their mind. They're just here for a break. They're here because parole said so, probation said so, mama said so, the world said so, the law said so, somebody said so other than me. So they're not going to look. Why would you even say, I've been in this a long time, I'm not as goofy as I look. Why would you even expect those people to stay sober? I don't. You know, and I've had people tell me, well, that just don't make me relapse. Okay, if me not expecting you to make it's going to make you relapse, you just proved my point. Okay, go ahead on. Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
You ever heard that old saying, life's a...
I have heard that. I've said that. Then I got saved and I cleaned up the way I talk, you know. But yeah, I have heard that. Here's the thing: you got to have somebody. We need to have daily social support. Not somebody we're meeting weekly, not somebody we're meeting monthly. We need to have daily social support.
I have a question.
Okay.
So the purpose of rehab is to do your best to not take, when you get out there, to not relapse. I'm trying to ask this right. So if you know somebody's going to relapse, like nobody's perfect, right?
Right.
You know somebody's going to relapse, and then so the purpose is not even but there's not even a purpose to be doing rehab first. You know something's gonna do. It's gonna be. They're gonna relapse. When is it known that? Okay, you know what? I know you're confident enough. I know you're not gonna relapse. When is there a time to stop accusing somebody that they're going to keep on being drug addicts? Because we've seen successful stories everywhere. But nothing about successful. They've been successful for years already.
Right.
When is it there a time to know or to stop telling somebody you're still an addict?
Well, we don't do that.
You always gonna be an addict.
Well, we don't do that
I
for.
don't believe you're always going to be an addict.
Okay.
Yeah, you always gonna be an addict.
So okay.
The
All right. Well,
crack always gonna be there.
let me share this with you. It's a little bit unloving, uncaring for someone to go to a cancer patient who has stage 4 cancer and tell them, "You're okay. You don't have a problem. What do you keep telling me you got cancer for?" Or doesn't it seem a little uncaring to go to someone who has HIV and say, "Hey, you know what? You don't have a problem. You don't have the disease is not eating your body." Wouldn't that be a little uncaring to go up there and tell them, "Well, I just don't believe in your disease"? See, and that's what you haven't bought into. Like for the folks over at North, gentleman said that over a period of time, and we had a lady at North asking this too, how long before I'm at a place where I can use again? And that's the question. That's what's always on our minds when we say something. He said he didn't believe in that. So if we don't believe that we have a chronic disease, okay, that's part of the problem. Because and that's why we tell people that if you've been in recovery, I've been in recovery for 26 years. I still have the disease. The disease is in remission. Can I relapse? Yeah, I watch you guys not paying attention. I watch y'all not taking notes. I watch y'all not caring about what I got. That makes me want to go drink on the way home. I don't do it. Because look, I love you, but you ain't worth my recovery, right? It ain't worth my recovery, so I don't. But this is a chronic, debilitating disease. And by chronic, we mean that this disease is incurable. Can't cure it. We're always going to have it. So when you've been sober for 10 years, we're going to come up to you and say, "How you doing?" "I'm doing great." You're still an addict. You know that, right? You're still a drunk. You're still a doper. You still got a problem. You still have that disease. You ain't cured. You ain't healed. I do believe that God can take it away from you at His pleasure, okay? But I do believe that this is a disease. And when you've been sober for 50 years, you still got it. You still got it. Now why is it? It's in remission, yeah. Why is it important for us to know that? Because the underlying thing, the underlying question is, when can I use again? When can I use? It's not about, hey, this ain't really a disease or nothing like that there. I don't believe that now. Because ain't nobody sneezed on you and gave you alcoholism. It ain't like that. So the underlying question, the underlying desire is to use again. And so we ask that question, and the answer is when? How long do you have to stay sober? Forever. If you're going to stay in your recovery. If you don't want to stay in your recovery, then go drink. Yes, sir?
That sounds, why would you even want to ask yourself?
Why
can I use it?
Yeah. I just told you why.
I mean, why would you even consider asking yourself?
Because a lot of the people, he said, why would you even consider asking yourself that question, how long before I don't have the disease anymore? Well, here's the deal.
Before I can use it again.
Before I can use again. It's the same question. Before I can use again. Here's the deal. How long before you can use again? What's the answer to that question? You can do that this afternoon. Yeah, there's a little store around here somewhere. You can go get you some wine or some beer or something like you can use today.
Yeah, that's not the question I was trying to ask.
It is.
No, I wasn't trying to ask.
You talk 5 minutes to get that question out, but
No, that's what I was trying to say.
All right, so what's the
I
question?
stated in the beginning, I don't know if I'm going to try to ask you correct. I've never want to use it again.
Okay.
I don't want to know when I can use it.
Okay.
That's not when. I want to know when can you stop accusing people that they're an addict when I've seen so many people recover and do so well for so many years. That's the question I was trying to ask.
That's the same question. See, and I've heard this question 30,000 times.
How is that? When I say we're not going to use it.
Well, because in the way that you say it, when you're going to stop accusing people of being an addict? But nobody's accusing anybody of being something. They're just recognizing that. If I have alcoholism, it's just like cancer. It's just like AIDS. It's just like HIV. It stays with us forever. You don't accuse. I'm accusing you of having HIV. Say, I'm accusing you of having cancer. We're not accusing anyone. As a matter of fact, it's helping people. We teach in here that, look, this is a disease that's going to last the rest of your life. And I'm not making an accusation against you when I come and tell you you've been sober for 10 years. It would be remiss on my part. I would be a reprehensible person to go tell someone who's been sober for 15 or 20 years, man, you got this thing leaked, you can use now. Because he can't. Because he would use again and he would be right back at the same level of addiction he was. Because of what? What's the word that we learned about a month ago? Tetrahydroquinone. See, we know the big book, if you read the big book, it tells you if you drink, no matter how long you've been sober, if you drink again, you're going to be right back at the same level of addiction you were at. They knew that would happen. They didn't know the mechanics of it back in 1932 when they wrote that. But now we know the mechanics of it. It's tetrahydroquinone. So it's not a bad thing. It's not me being a nasty person when I tell somebody, if you've been in recovery for 20 years, you're still an addict. It's a chronic, debilitating disease. It's going to stay with you the rest of your life. So that's just the way that is. You're not going to get sober. And I'm sorry, you may not be asking that question, but the people who ask the question, that's the underlying question. And that may not be in your mind, but it's in your heart. You know, it's down there somewhere. And how dare you how dare you accuse somebody of being an alcoholic if they haven't drank in 10 years? That person ought to be able to drink again. If I'm not an alcoholic anymore, I should be able to drink again, right? I should be able to control it, right? That's the argument that we're making. Whether you know that or not. Sometimes these things come to us and we want to ask those questions and things and we don't really know that. But look, if we told everybody in here in 5 years you can start using again, why would we do that other than the desire to have you back as a client? So that's, we have to have people, yes?
I feel like this. If you don't like the terminology, like somebody saying, addict, okay, I'm a recovering addict. And then that's their opinion. And then really, if somebody talking to you like that, you need to put some distance between y'all. Because you know your mind, you know your heart. When you work in the program, you need to know how to talk. But enough said.
Well, let me ask you this real quick question, and then we need to move along. It's break time though right now. Let's go take our scheduled break, and then we'll get back in here. But y'all look, we'll be back in 16 minutes after. Y'all don't be late. Come back at 16 minutes after.
You got
Yes.
15 seconds.
Maybe. What's up?
And 10.
Thank you. that's still going to give you,
You know what? I might not.
when you're reading in the group,
I might not feel like
stuff like that. You do pretty well in the group when you pay attention.
But it was so I think that you know what I'm saying? That's just like how I feel about it. The way I feel sometimes, you know, like I'm an addict, I have this personality. So like anything in my life I would tell you anything that can make me different than I already am. And dealing for me and for a lot of people, like dealing with issues that you have, whether it's mental health issues or trauma or just, you know, so that's how I feel. Like some days I don't feel like an addict, just I don't feel like an addict, but then I think about it, you know, like that one that took me down, that's the one that took me down first road. Cocaine is pretty bad though. I almost had a stroke.
Like I don't have no cravings, but how am I supposed to? How am I gonna let someone else tell me that I'm gonna have cravings and I'm gonna not do that? Like, I don't understand. I don't understand.
Yeah, and I just like, who that's sicker? You know what I'm saying? Like, or they don't relapse multiple times. There's people like, and I had to have meetings and like I had to, and now I don't have to have a meeting every day, every week. I just have to make sure that I'm doing maintenance or going to a meeting every now and then, or church feels like a meeting sometimes, but like I don't. What makes me have a craving is like if it's like a trigger type thing. Like there's sometimes like I'll smell a smell and I'm like, that's so like, and it might just be my brain, but you know but it's not I don't have to wake up every day and say, okay, don't smoke today.
I understand people might have to do it. So
you know my thing.
And they're still called
And people have
addicts. They're still predicted to relapse.
Yeah, but I've been clean for 9 years, regular 10 years.
You don't think so?
I mean, I'm not gonna say I don't give them, but it's definitely not like it was, you know, 9 years ago. Like I said, it's more it's not even really anymore. It's like something like, or I don't know, like a memory, or you know, just like if I see somebody with their porch lighters, I associate that with those. Okay, that's associated. I usually like the but like honestly, if I have a bad day, I don't have to fight the urge to get high. It's just a bad day. I don't know how to deal with it now. But you know, everybody has to go the process in their own way forward. And what works for one person doesn't work for another. We have to find that path that gets us where we need to be. And in the beginning, a lot of it is get past the beginning where you have urges and it's kind of changes things in your life so you don't. We do it all walk a different path to get there. And it takes some of us, like, I relax. My whole life was relaxed.
Yeah. I do. Great. How many bags do you go through a day?
Bag a day. Bag of that 3 days.
How many bags do you drive?
Yeah.
Like sugar person, not sugar person.
How many bags you buy? That's your favorite candy?
No, it's one that gets you good.
Huh?
One that gets you good.
That's it.
I got a sign for the stove down, so they're putting it down.
Well, yes. Glad to hear that. That is the most evil thing I've seen anybody do since I've been here.
Oh, guys, there was a pack of cigarettes on
Maybe I'm just hungry. Oh, that was so evil.
My name is David. And they have my design. Because I'm trying to create also that on for and I went to try office and I did that.
It's more of a
After that, that market, I became six or 5 weeks. Yeah, I won't talk about that. So I did. Yeah. I'm over now.
You little kid.
Okay,
And then those shoes through.
yes, ma'am.
Turn around like so.
What is yes, you know what they speak over the name? You know what I'm saying? I thought you got I made chicken the other day. No. Before that was right. I could chicken. I go over there and when I go over today, whenever Mark comes back, I'm trying to look right? All right. Well, yes, ma'am. Sorry, so look, I'll take I go get you today. Now I'm prepared for Monday. All right. All right. Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Yes, ma'am. Y'all that shit? I'm very much. Yeah. That's sounds. Yeah.
All right. Time to start again. All righty, we're back in group. Appreciate you guys. We have a couple of quick things. We got into a discussion there, and that's what group's about. That's good, huh? Get into a discussion. But we need daily social support as one of our big coping skills. There's more to social support than having someone to call during moments of crisis. Although that's important, isn't it? I need to have somebody, and who could that somebody be? Yeah, your sponsor, your pastor, your spouse, if indeed your spouse is supportive. Have you ever run into somebody that had a spouse that was not supportive? Absolutely. Also, there's a lot of guys and a lot of ladies that have a spouse that's a worse user or abuser than they are. So those are people you need to avoid. You don't need to be calling them. But you also have sober support people. Big deal. Sober support people are people who are not your sponsor, but who are sober. And you know that they can be counted on when you call them. And when you're in crisis, that's somebody you need to call. However, you need to be able to get with people when you're not in crisis. People who have strong relationships all of the time are more resilient when facing life's Obstacles. Now, what does the word resilient mean? And I know, look, I'm not talking down to people. I know you guys are brilliant, but I just want to know that there's no one in the group that doesn't know what the word resilient means, or any word that I bring out, because, that's just the way that is. Some people don't. So what does the word resilient mean? I can pop back, I can bounce back real easily, or at least I can do it kind of tough. There's some people that something will just tear them to pieces, other people it doesn't. So more likely to beat the addiction. When have we beat the addiction? When we're dead? Yeah, when we're dead. I don't like that terminology. They're more likely to beat the addiction. That's the problematic term, because somebody somewhere is going to say, I'll beat the addiction, I'm done. And what are they going to do? I'm going to go have me a nice cold beer because I just cut the grass, and after all, I've beat the addiction. The addiction just beat you.
You know what? I'm 63 years old.
Man, I knew you were old. I didn't know you were that old.
But anyway, I quit on my own.
Yeah.
Several times.
Yeah.
But it's always something on down the road to where I started back.
Right.
It seems like every time I did that,
yes.
You see what I'm saying?
Yes, sir, I do. I did the same thing.
Like you say, that's something that's coming. But until you're dead.
Yeah. He was talking about relapsing. He's gotten clean on his own, and anybody, any addict anywhere can get sober for a while, but then always life comes back up. And, you go somewhere and they got free beer. You go somewhere they got free beer. It'd be un-American of me not to use it. It's free beer. So we need to be cautious about all of that stuff. So we need to make a point when we get out of here to make friends. Make good, sober, solid friends. Make good, sober, solid people. Let them be in your life. Look, it's not a wrong thing. It's not a bad thing for you to make choices in your life concerning the people who are in your life. There's some people in your life you need to get out your life. And it's okay. It's all right. So, attend support groups. Build new friendships. Go to church. Do some things that's going to be positive in your life. There is, however, a need for crisis social support. And that's where your sponsor comes in and all of those things. When in crisis, it's helpful to have a person you can count on for support. I know people I can call today, and they'll be there for me. They're going to answer the phone. They're not going to nod, and they're not going to see me on the ID thing and say, I don't want to talk to him. They're going to answer the phone. And if I say I need to talk, they're going to say, well, come on over here. And we're going to have coffee. Sometimes they'll try to tempt me with some cake or something. Or the ladies they'll come out there. One of them does a lot of baking. And look what I made. I can't eat that. But look, I made it. Okay, I don't care. It's still,
But you need to show them that you're recovered from sugar anyway.
Yeah.
Then to say something.
I don't know.
What you were just talking about.
Social support.
It's social support. Church.
Christ.
Oh, this is what I was going to say. Now, ready for this?
Yeah.
See, we had several millions like you. Our thirds will be on speed dial.
Yeah. He said if they had several $1 million like I do, which shows he don't know everything he think he knows.
I'm going out with you.
And when you're in crisis, it's helpful to have that person you can support on, that you can count on for support. Someone you can call who will help to talk you through the situation. Make a list of people you can contact during these situations and how you can get a hold of them. Here's the deal. I hate lists. I do not like lists. I don't want lists. Lists are bad. But this is the one place I say is a list is a pretty good thing. No, you do need to make a list of the people you can count on to call. I have that. You know, and I have them in my phone, but I don't really have to write down because I know them. You know, I can call Scott tomorrow, and you know he's gonna be there. I can call Charlie, and Charlie will be there. You know, I've got 3 or 4 guys that I can call, and then I know some ladies that I can call, and they'll be there to help me do what I need to have to do as well. But that's the one list. I don't like lists and treatment plans and stuff like that because if you're telling a person, make me a list of 10 things, okay, that takes 5 minutes, right? And then they're done. And you got 10 or 12 days, you ain't going to do nothing.
Can I ask you something about your sponsor?
Yeah.
How long have you been knowing?
How long have I known my sponsor?
Yeah.
20 years?
Oh, okay. See, with me, I just don't want to go out there and, hey, would you be my sponsor? So I want to start account. I know but you see what I'm saying?
So what you need to do is go to group. He's talking about getting a good sponsor. Go to group. Go to a good, solid group and sit in that group for 20 years. And then after 20 years, you know, you should know all the people by the... Now, look, here's what you need to do. If you just go to a group today, in our group, we have a board. And the people who are willing to sponsor, and everybody's supposed to be willing to sponsor. That's part of it. When you get to that place, they put their names on the board, and you go talk to them during group. Here's the thing: your sponsor is not there to be your boyfriend or your girlfriend. Your sponsor is there to be your sponsor. They don't have to be your friend. You don't have to know them. What you need to know is, are they qualified? Yeah. Are they qualified? How long have you been in recovery? We had a person in this group came and told me one day, I've got my sponsor. I said, well, that's great, man. That's fantastic. You need to have a sponsor. What's his name? Al. Al's his name? Yeah. Like his name? Yeah, that's my sponsor. You can't have, that guy wasn't even out of treatment yet, and he's going to be your sponsor. No, I will tell you, Al knew the big book from one end to the other. He had memorized, the guy knew it, but he wasn't qualified. What qualifies somebody to be your sponsor?
I would say at least 3 or 4 years of sobriety.
The minimum is 3 years. Let them be in sobriety for 3 years. Let them have worked with a sponsor themselves. Let them have done the 12 steps themselves, because they need to lead you through the 12 steps. Because your sponsor is not somebody that's going to be there for you when you're in
time of need.
Yeah, they're supposed to be there in time of need, but they're not going to come get you when you are in the bar or something. You know, they're not going to do that. So, but you do need to have somebody there that you can get when you need that help. They're going to come. They're going to be there for you. So that's a really good idea about helping you to have some good coping skills. Another one is diversions. Cravings are brutal. Cravings are tough. You know, the first couple of days that I was off of sugar, man, I saw moon pies in my dreams. You know, I saw those honey buns, the iced honey buns. They're nothing but sugar and carbohydrates. And man, I could almost taste them. They don't taste good, but they're sugar. You know, but so I had that stuff. So cravings are brutal. They grow and they grow, and it's like they're gnawing at your willpower, trying to get that going, demanding that you relapse. Remember, your limbic system is telling you that, hey, if you don't use, you're going to die. Right? If you don't use right now, you're going to die. So and that's a terrible craving. So when that goes on, we got to get to a place where we're going to do something about it. We've got to have some type of diversion. We have a thing called thought stopping, you know, where you put a rubber band around your wrist and you pull it back and pop it. That will definitely change your mind for just a few moments, but it'll get you away from there. So it might feel like there's no escape when you're in the middle of a craving, but then if you resist the craving, then it starts to fade. We did a thing here called urge surfing. Y'all remember that at all? Whereas the urge comes, if you're at the top of the urge, if you'll just walk with it and stick with it for a while, that urge will go away. It is not forever. How long does a craving last?
8 minutes.
About 8 minutes, 6 to 8 minutes. It feels like when it's in you, when it's biting you, when it's trying to get you to use, that it's going to last forever. And that feeling is horrific. That feeling is terrible. So we don't really want to live with that feeling, do we? No, we don't. We don't. But here's the deal. Like Darnell said, it lasts about 8 minutes, 6 to 8 minutes. And you can do that. So you can walk around, you can call somebody, you can do something different, you can do some thought stopping, you can do something that will allow you to hang on for 6 to 8 minutes. 8 minutes is not a long time. Unless you're trying to hold your breath or put your finger in your eye and hold it there for 8 minutes. That's pretty hard. You know, it's hard. So, but 8 minutes can seem like a lifetime. But if you can get through, if we just know this is not going to last long, we usually cave in at about 2 minutes. Get that craving, boom, you know, because it's hard to not do that. Now, here's the deal. The goal of diversions. What's a diversion?
Something to take your attention.
Separate.
Something to go attention.
It's something to throw you off.
Something to throw me off. That's a good way of saying it. Something to divert me from where I'm headed. I'm headed this way. I was headed this way this morning, and there was stuff in the road that diverted me. So a diversion takes you to a different place, right? So that's what we're going to look. That's what we're looking for, because the place I'm going is relapse. I need something to divert me from that relapse, and so there's a lot of little things that we can do. So the goal of diversions is to buy yourself just enough time to get through the craving. Doesn't have to be something that you do all day. It's just something. That's why the thought-stopping thing works. You only have to get through 8 minutes. If you pull that thing back and pop it, and it's gonna take a minute, because that stinks. If you ever done it, that stinks. And if you got some real bad craving, you put a thumbtack in it and pull it. That will get your attention. Yeah. All right. So if you can distract yourself for just an hour, remember, the craving lasts for 8 minutes. So if I'm distracting myself for an hour, that's 52 more minutes. That's going to get me into a good place. You have a much better chance of avoiding the relapse that craving is trying to get you in. So come up with a list of activities that you genuinely enjoy and that will keep you at a distance from your temptation. What's something you really enjoy doing?
I really enjoy doing reading.
Reading? Anybody else?
Mine's weird.
Reading?
No, I really love children. It's hard to find people that can get through. Like volleyball.
Okay.
I like to find a lot of
Riding a bicycle? riding a bicycle. Some neighborhoods you have to be careful about riding a bicycle through the neighborhood. The dope man rides a bicycle. Dope man rides a bicycle. He's got a $300,000 car down here on the end, but he gets on a $100 bicycle and rides through the neighborhood. And you know, over at Avenue A, we used to have a guy just about every day pull up in the parking lot on his bicycle. Nice guy. Had a little hat on. Had a little pack on the back. Riding his bicycle. Getting some good exercise. I got me a stick and run him off a couple times. And so I didn't see him when we was over there. Since we moved out, he's not been over here. Maybe he doesn't know where we are. So, anybody else? What's a good thing you distract yourself with? What's a good diversion? What is there something you enjoy doing? What is it?
Music.
Music. Some music is really, really good. I use a lot of music all the time. Praise and worship music will distract me from goofy stuff, but a lot of times I find myself listening to 60s and 70s music, and sometimes that can take me to the wrong place. Yeah. So we're going to be a little bit careful about that. It didn't take me to the, because, you know, what's the best group that was ever the best group?
Eagles.
Zeppelin? The Beatles. Oh, God. The Eagles? Three. The best group, there's two groups that I like really a whole lot. The best group out there was Three Dog Night. Three Dog Night had some of the best music ever. And the second one, y'all probably never heard of, is Marmalade.
I like Bad Number.
Bad Number, I like that.
What was the second one?
Marmalade.
Journey.
Y'all ever heard of Marmalade? Have you? Yeah. That's their biggest hit was Reflections of My Life, and they are a Scottish group. They're a group out of Scotland, but they did some good stuff. So these are some good things. Look, here's some things that we can do. We're just going to run over these pretty quickly because we've got other stuff we're not going to get to because we had a couple of breaks. You can go for a walk. I enjoy walking. I go for a walk. I have 8 acres of land, and there's some trees and stuff on it, and I walk around my yard and stuff like that. Yes, sir.
Me personally, I prefer mountain days. Blue with nature.
Okay. Yeah.
Do
So,
the dog follow you?
Does what?
Do the dog follow you when you take a walk?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Usually he's out there with me. He really doesn't like me to be outside when he's not. I do a lot of yard work. I do my own stuff there.
So he like to be.
Oh, yeah. So we can watch a movie, and just like that, just said, you do yard work. You know, I mean, if you have a lawn, you have a yard, you have shrubs or whatever you have, there's never a time that it doesn't need attention. Yeah. So you can play a game, play an instrument. I used to try to play the guitar. I never could learn. The only instrument I can play is the radio. You can go hiking in nature. We're going to be doing that in about a month. You can, like you said, read a book, practice your hobby, draw or paint. We had Mr. Miles back here, pretty fair artist, and he would do that every group. He had no idea what was going on in the group, but he made some pretty good art, while he was in the group. So go for a bicycle ride, making sure you're in the right neighborhood for a bicycle ride. Call a friend. Just talk on the phone. My wife does that a lot. I go home sometimes and she's on the phone. And I say, who are you talking to? I was talking to Barbara, or I was talking to Gloria, or one of her friends. One of them's our daughter-in-law and all of this stuff. And how long have you been? Well, hour and a half. That's nothing for her to call and talk to her buddy for an hour and a half. If I call you, I'm going to tell you what I need to tell you. And so that wouldn't work too well for me. Take photographs.
Meditation.
Say it again.
Meditation.
Meditation is good. Play a sport. Go for a run. Most of us would pass away if we took, start off slow. Go for a short walk before you go for a run. Do a craft. write in your journal, lift weights. That's a good one. You know, I saw a thing the other day, and we were talking about exercise, and it said it's a really good time, and I told you all this already, but it's a really good time when you're working out to think about stuff that's going on in you. That's not true. When you're lifting weights, that's all you can think about. Because I'm going to guarantee you that gets all of your attention when you're trying to pick up more than you usually do. I increased my bicep curl this morning on the machine by 5 pounds. And that was a big deal for me. That was a big deal for me. So, and I didn't say I was curling 5 pounds. I said I increased what I was curling by 5 pounds. So, yeah, 10. Play with your pet. Listen to your music. Clean. Here's a big deal. If you get a craving, go clean your house. Clean, organize something, cook something, bake something. Now, I'm not going to do that. I may cook something, but I'm not going to bake much of anything because I can't eat what I bake. Yeah. The other day, I made my wife and myself some pancakes. And she was not impressed. It's the first pancake I've ever made, but they came out really, really thin for some reason. They about that, it's like a wafer, you know. It's the first one I'd ever made, you know. And you have to do it, you know. This is, well, anyway, cook or bake, take a long bath. Yeah, take a shower, take a long bath, go swimming, rearrange your room. What do you see about all of these things that you can do to help with your cravings?
Taking your mind off of.
Just take it, and it's all different kind of stuff. It's all different kind of stuff. It's just, you know, it doesn't make any difference what it is. Just so it's something that can take your mind off of using whatever we're using, right? Just something. We need to be able to do something. And there's a whole lot of other stuff out there that you can do. I know people who sew. I know people who do crochet. I know people who do all sorts of things. And just doing anything. One of the things that we need to do with our coping skills is to build new habits. Our addiction is what? It's a habit. It's what we do. It's what we do every day. And if we continue to do it, it becomes an addiction. But look, before it becomes an addiction, something that you cannot not do, it becomes a habit. You know, it's a habit for me to get up and I do the same thing every day. When you get up in the morning, which leg do you put in your pants first? If you're paying attention, he's knowing I was pointing at him. So we'll start in the back of the room instead of the first room. What leg do you put in your pants? You put your left leg in? What left?
All right.
Put your right? Kendrick, what leg? You can't put both legs in at one time.
I knew somebody was going to say that.
Yeah. Which leg you put in first?
Right.
Your right?
That's right.
Your right?
Right.
Your right?
Right.
Left.
Right.
Right?
Right. I was noting it down.
Okay, all right, no problem.
Right.
Right? Hey. Left or right? Right? Okay. Did you see that most people in here put their right leg in first, right? I put my right leg in first. Tomorrow morning, guess what you're going to do? You're going to put your right leg in your pants first. Or you're going to put your left leg in. Why? That's the habit you have created surrounding putting your clothing on in the morning. You know, that you're going to do the same thing tomorrow that you did today. And that's why we have to watch all of these habits. So if we have a habit of smoking cigarettes at this time, by this time, you know, we're going to do that because that's just what we do. It's a habit. And so it's the same thing with using drugs. It's a habit that we have formed. So we need to make new habits. So most addictions require a lot of time.
I didn't want to say this. I was noting that. I just reached up the word But I always do that. I say build new positive habits.
Okay. Yeah, we do need a new positive habit. We don't want to make negative habits. You were 10 minutes late coming from group, coming back to group right after the break.
No, wait.
Well, you were, and he was, and he was. Each one of y'all were. Yes, you were. Yes, you were. But yes, please do go to the bathroom, and then maybe take a nap, whatever you need to do. Yeah. But look, we've got to get that. We've got to get that under control. And when the group is over, Miss Sims, I need to see you in my office, and I need to see you, David. I need to see you in my office, and I need to see that gentleman. Because, we're going to, yeah, because we need to take, when we were just on break just a few minutes ago, and we're going to be out of here in the next 15 minutes. So we need to fix some things. So anyway, they can fill a lot of your time. They can fill a lot of your day. When you quit, one of the greatest resources you gain when you quit using is what? Time. You have a lot of time all of a sudden. And if you have a lot of time, what's going to happen?
Get a lot of temptation.
A lot of temptation, a lot of craving. You got newfound time. It has to be filled with some healthy activities. It's going to pose a risk of falling back into your old habits if you don't. So here's how we build new habits. Building new habits is different than diversions because of the focus on long-term permanent life changes. Remember, a diversion is going to help me stay sober for an hour. My new habits are going to help me stay sober for the rest of my life. So I'm going to have this habit that's going to keep me. I'm going to keep it for the rest of my life. This is not about writing out cravings. This is about building a better life for yourself. So here's the do. Here's how we're going to, here's the new habit. Foster new relationship. We've already talked about that. Join a casual sports league. A lot of churches have baseball teams. Stuff like that. They're out there. Attend a local meetup of one of your interests or hobbies. Y'all know I fly. And I can go right out here to the airport, and there's groups that meet out there. People will buy airplanes, and there'll be 10 people on one airplane. Because airplanes are not inexpensive. They're pretty expensive. So, I've been looking at some online now that's not expensive, and I'm getting a germ of an idea that I'm going to buy one. But if you got one out there that's $100,000, you got 10 people, that's 10,000 apiece, and then they can go and they can fly that. And it's amazing that if you have 10 different people that own an airplane, there's plenty of time to fly. You can go get that thing, you go fly for 3 or 4 hours, and you're done with that, because it costs you quite a bit. If you want to go rent one, it's $300 or $400 an hour if you rent the right one. So it's hard to do. Yeah, it's pretty expensive. So go get that done. Get involved in your community by volunteering, supporting a just cause that you like. Go to the soup kitchen and feed some people. Go help with. We work with the food bank a lot. Our church has a food pantry. And if you want to go to the food bank and you go over there and you can give them food, or you can go in there and help load out the trucks and stuff like that as they go out to bring food to places like this, where we get the food for free. Return to school, pursue a subject that you're interested in. Anybody ever thought about just going back to school for a few minutes? Yeah, I do that all the time. Y'all remember what I told you all about Allison? I try to get that out to as many people as I can. Allison is a school out of England, and it's free. You go in, you put allison.com, and then it'll ask you, what do you want to learn today? And you can say psychology. You can say whatever you want to say, and it'll pop that up. I looked on there the other day. I said, I bet they don't have anything on motorcycle repair. They do. They do. They popped up a thing there on small engine and motorcycle repair, and you can go in there, and some of them are for certificates, some of them are for diplomas, and you can go through that thing. It's absolutely free, and you can get all of that stuff. When you get to the end of it, it'll ask you if you want your certificate, and if you say yes, you have to buy the certificate. The certificate costs you about $50. But if you want the diploma, which takes you 4 or 5 times longer to get, and all of that stuff, I've never bought one, so I don't know how much they cost. But if you're going to do something like psychology or something like that, then you're going to want to. They have medical things, nursing things, and all of that kind of stuff. You're probably going to want to buy that. That's how they make their money. They'll teach you for free, but they won't certify you for free. So, yeah. Yeah, so you got to pay for that. But it's still, I've done 3 or 4 different studies in there. I've studied the computer quite a bit for free. I didn't take the certificate. I just needed the information, not the certificate. I did one on English, and I've done one on. I did one psychology. I have degrees in psychology, but I wanted to go back and see what they had, and so I did a little thing. I've started it. I'm not doing too well on it. So learn some of those new skills. And there's some things in there that may not pertain to your job or anything like that, but maybe you just want to learn something new. Okay. So find a full-time job or seek a new career that you enjoy. Anybody ever thought about moving, changing careers? I've done that. I've changed my careers probably 4 times. Say it again? Yeah. Yeah. Think about what you'd really like to do. And what I would recommend, if you think you might like to do that, see if there's an opportunity to go and intern or something like that to see if you would. You may not really like that once you get into that. Luckily, the things that I got into, I enjoyed pretty well. Yeah, I was in the military a long time, got out of the military and went into compression. I wanted to work on, I had a friend that wanted to get me into the compression industry, and I got in there. I thoroughly enjoyed that, worked there for about 20 years, and then went from about 25 probably, went from there into counseling. And during all that time, I've been bivocational pastor. What does bivocational mean? You got 2 jobs because my congregation is so small they can't pay me. I need $80,000 a year. And they can only pay me like $9. So I have to have another job. So all of those things are good. But if there's something that you think that you'd like to do, go do that. Build new skills on your own using free online resources. We just talked about that. Or practice your existing skills. Build a routine. Refocus on some of your existing relationships. We have to be careful of existing relationships, but build a routine around socializing with friends or family. For example, always have Sunday dinners with your family. That's a good thing. That's going to get that back together. Have evening walks maybe with a friend. Be proactive. Don't wait for other people to reach out to you. Let me tell you something about us that it may not be the case with you. It is the case with me. And people remember who I was. People remember the things I did. And I'm going to tell you this. People can always, they have long memories about the things you did that was bad. Right? The things that you did that was nasty, the things that you did that hurt them, they're going to remember that until they're dead. And probably when they're in heaven, 7,000 or 8,000 years, they're still going to remember it. I don't believe that. But I do believe for the rest of their life, they're going to remember the nasty things you did. The good things, they're not going to remember as easily. So sometimes they're not going to reach out to you. They don't want to, right? They don't want you in their lives. Okay, sometimes you have to let that relationship go. But if that relationship is going to be viable again, it's going to be up to you. We got to reach out. Tomorrow, I don't know what time tomorrow, but sometimes tomorrow I'm going to call my brother over in Mississippi. I want to get that relationship. We hadn't talked in years. And then I told y'all the other day, he called me on the way from church a couple of weeks ago. And we talked for about 5 minutes while I'm driving down the road. And so I'm going to call him tomorrow and try to get that relationship back where it's supposed to be. Because when we go in October, we're going to stay at state parks. One of them we're going to stay at is Roosevelt State Park. That's in Mississippi. That's probably about a 20-minute drive from his house. So I want us to get together. Yes,
You said the last time that he wanted to put his trailer in your yard.
yes, he did. And I'm not, and I don't want that to happen. And by the way, you can't either. I love you, but you can't come to my house and live in my backyard.
And hopefully today he can realize that it helped him mature in many ways, and ways than one that you were trying to enable.
Right, exactly. And he should be getting mature because on October the 18th, which is going to be about the time we're over there, is his birthday. So I'm going to take him out to lunch and all of that kind of stuff, have a good time. But I'm trying to solidify that thing. And the deal is that we live 7 hours apart. So that makes it a little harder. Yes, sir.
I have one more better suggestion.
Okay.
He said you got a 30-foot travel trailer.
Say that again.
You said your travel trailer 30 foot? 30 foot? That's your trailer?
I have it's 30 feet.
30 feet, that's what I see.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So this is just a suggestion.
Yes, sir.
I mean, since it's been so many years apart,
Yeah.
and I'm not gonna say the restaurant is gonna be fast,
Right.
but wouldn't it be more better because he has a wife, right?
Right.
And I'm sure he has some kids along the way.
Now they have one daughter who's gone.
But anyway, it ain't got nothing to do about you and him.
Yeah.
So at the state park, there's a lake right there. Right?
Right.
Do you like to fish?
Yeah.
They
No.
got a walking trip.
Yeah, they got all kinds of stuff.
Just a suggestion.
Yeah.
What about throwing some burgers on the grill?
Yeah, that'd be
Something
good.
like that. Some hot dog where y'all can sit there and really talk and fun.
Yeah.
I mean, since it's been so many years.
That makes a lot of sense.
I'm just saying, just
No.
a suggestion.
He said, why don't we have them come out to our trailer and, make some burgers and stuff like that. When I was talking, yeah, that'd be great. That'd be great. And we could walk around and they could be our guests there at the park and all of that stuff. Except for one little tiny itty bitty thing. It's not my fault. My wife said, okay, we'll go down and we'll meet him at that restaurant because I don't want him in my trailer.
Piggyback on what you know and he suggested some positive things.
Yeah.
Isn't that about your lesson?
Yeah.
Coping skills, you can cope with your brother.
Yeah.
Thank you to go for pointing out those
Absolutely. That would actually be a good thing to do to get him out there in the woods and stuff like that. He's a woodsy. He's a hunter and a fisherman. He would love that. I'm certain. But there is that little bit of tension between my family and his family. And my wife is serious. She doesn't want them there.
Anytime, so
In
the wife
her
really don't,
trailer.
the wife don't really warm up to your sister-in-law.
Well, the sister-in-law is fine. She don't like my brother.
Okay, well, see, this is where the thing where the wife and the sister-in-law can go to the restaurant and they can have some time to talk where they let y'all fun.
Yeah.
And you really ain't got to be at your
I
trailer.
really,
That's why there's a pavilion somewhere.
Ain't that
right
great?
there.
I really appreciate that input there. That's really good input. He said send them women off by themselves and you and your brother can go off and do
They
something.
get them out.
We ain't gonna do that, but it's still good input, isn't it? That'd really be that'd be a good idea.
There's
So-
brothers understand.
There's your big brother and your little brother.
Once I
Here's-
put it down to it,
You're right. Here's one big thing, and I'm gonna tell y'all this. I don't do it. This is a big thing to help us get to a place where we have other people in our lives. And this is one I'm going to tell you is good for probably everybody, but we have to be cautious about how we do it, and I don't do it. This says say yes to every social invitation. We can't do that, but they redeem themselves because they said say yes to every social invitation that will not put you at risk of relapse. Yeah. If it look, my daughter had a birthday back about 3 or 4 weeks ago in June or July, one of those months. And I don't remember when it was, but her husband called me and said, "Hey, Pop, we're going to go and have a birthday party at the restaurant. You guys coming?" I said, "Absolutely. You're buying me lunch, right? You're buying me supper." He said, "Oh yeah, okay, yeah." So it's a seafood restaurant, and so we went to Tio Juanita's. That place is horrible. If you've never been there,
Which place?
don't go. The food was okay. We go to Hamilton's seafood place, and that food there is excellent. It's fantastic, and it's nice, and it's there's not a whole lot of junk there and all of that. But Tia Juanita's, man, they had a live band, and this old gal was singing music from 1933, and everybody was drunk, and oh man, this I knew right off. Look, this here ain't the place for me. I'm a recovering alcoholic. I need to get the heck out of this joint. I was there 10 minutes. They brought it. They came and said, "What do y'all want to eat?" And we told them, and they went and got our food. And I told them, bring them in to-go boxes.
See, we can't fault you because you don't know what you're doing. You should have researched it. And then the most important thing was what time you went. Like, I said you was about brunch time. 10, 11, 12 that day. Might have been all right. Come at 8:30, 9 o'clock at night.
But he wanted to go and support himself.
We know that, but I'm just saying, he's found out the place where him. He should have researched it.
Well, here's the deal. He did it at that time on Friday, about 6 o'clock at night, because all of the people were working, and so they had to come. Anyway, we need to be in on some of those social things that are out there. All right, but we need to be cautious about them because some of the things, as we're trying to build our social circle, may wind up.
I'm so sorry.
May wind up. I believe people sit around in their rooms sometimes and think about how I can disrupt groups. If I slide that chair and I'm still in the chair, it's gonna be real loud, But we need to make sure that the social circle that I'm trying to build is a sober social circle. Say that 7 times quick. The sober social circle is the only one I'm going to have. So, ladies, I will be over after a while to pick up my stuff. Thank you for being here, and thank you for working with us through the emergency we had. We appreciate that. Thank you, guys. You did a good job, except for those of you who came back to group 10 minutes late.